Good morning, gentlemen and ladies. RSX Squishy here, and for today's video, I'm gonna be talking about Call of Duty and skill-based matchmaking and how they finally are talking about it in a recent blog that just released. Now, if you guys like the video and want a completely honest review, I'm always honest. I don't shill for Activision, and I'm gonna call all the BS when I see it. If you guys like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you support me. Try to get to 69,000 subs, and make sure you support or you are a racist. Now, let's get started with the video. Now, Call of Duty, essentially Activision, released a statement a while back saying that they were going to talk about skill-based matchmaking, and they finally released it today. They released a blog called Call of Duty Update, an inside look at matchmaking. Now, before I start this, I just want to tell everyone that there have been a lot of things that people have talked about previously, like skill-based damage, skill-based spawn, skill-based this, skill-based aim assist, a lot of this stuff, and everything that Activision is essentially going to be saying about Call of Duty is going to be completely contradicting that, and then I'm going to give my honest review on that. So I'm going to get started on here. They show essentially like a little graph talking about the Call of Duty's multiplayer matchmaking progress. In their eyes, they say that connection and time to match is the #1 factor that goes into making a multiplayer match, which already, as soon as I saw this, I already knew that it was bullshit, because connection, ping, and everything is not at the top of the priority. I cannot tell you how many times I'm fucking matched with fucking people that are shitty. My latency is constantly higher on my team than on the other team. So I do believe skill-based connection, skill-based ping, skill-based latency is definitely a thing, and they're not wanting to talk about it. Because according to them, connection, this is what they say, this is directly from them. As the community will attest, ping is king. Connection is the most critical and heavily weighted factor in the matchmaking process. The second is time to match. This factor is the second most critical to the matchmaking process. We all want to spend time playing the game rather than waiting for matches to start. Have you ever tried to play fucking Warzone? Do you know how long it takes to start a fucking match? It takes like, I kid you not, 5 minutes for you to load in the pregame lobby, that stupid loading screen. Then for you to finally jump into a game. Then you fucking die right away to some dickhead or whatever, and then you have to start all over, and then you're already like 15-20 minutes in just on one match. So time to match does not make sense to me. I don't believe that. Connection, it has been proven previously that with skill-based matchmaking, the better that you do, the worse your connection will get. So that to me doesn't make sense, and especially that I feel like I have a pretty good internet connection, and my latency is constantly very different from everybody, and it fluctuates way too much that it's not consistent at all. So I honestly do not believe that. They have a couple of other things like skill performance. Obviously, that's kind of like the biggest one. That's usually what they use to essentially split everybody. When it comes to that, they say that, so according to Activision, skills determined based on players' overall performance, kills, deaths, wins, losses, and more, including mode selection in recent matches as an overall metric. Notice these dickheads said and more. They didn't specify anything. They were very vague in their descriptions of stuff, and it just pissed me off, because to me, it seems like this is just like a publicity kind of stunt, them trying to seem like they're more open with communicating and stuff when they're actually not, because they're not disproving what people have already been talking about that already exists. Again, like skill-based ping, skill-based connection, and all this stuff. And they're just kind of being vague about everything, which doesn't make sense. There's so many patents that prove otherwise that Call of Duty, Activision have implemented, and then they're over here telling you that they don't exist. So skill-based or skill as a measure for matchmaking says that it's just based on kills, deaths, wins, including recent multiplayer experiences. But we all know that there's so many different factors. According to them, there has been skill-based matchmaking since Call of Duty 4. Now, while that may be true, and I do actually believe him on that, because every time I would play with the big party, it would drop the worst freaking player on our team back from Modern Warfare 2 back in 2009 or 2010 or whatever. So I do believe there was a little bit of skill-based matchmaking back then, but it is nowhere as complicated as it is now and nowhere as strong. It is ridiculous how strong it is now, and how every single time I do good in 1 or 2 matches, I already know the next 2 or 3 matches after that, I'm going to have horrible connection. It really doesn't make sense. Like, I've been playing recently and trying to, like, notice a lot of things. There's times where, like, I'm literally killing everyone, and I'm like, oh my god, I just made this loadout. It's so freaking good. It kills in, like, 1 or 2 bullets. And then literally just the next game, none of my bullets are hitting. I'm shooting him, getting a bunch of hit markers. They're not dying. And I can't seem to, like, kill him. Even when I shoot him first, they end up, having crazy movement and stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, it's so inconsistent. So I do think that there is some, like, hidden skill-based matchmaking that's working in the background to make it where my aim assist is maybe, like, not as strong, or that maybe I'm getting a little bit more latency just to kind of offset, the other team or something. There used to be a thing back in the day, Modern Warfare 2, it was called the lag compensation, which essentially made you lag more so you can be on par with, like, the latency for, the other team and with everybody, supposedly to make it fair, which, again, how the fuck is that fair? Like, that doesn't make any sense. There's so much crap going on. It's just so freaking stupid. This whole stupid graph that they put about the multiplayer matchmaking process, connection, time to match, skill performance, the platform that you use, voice chat. I don't know what the hell voice chat has to do with anything, because most of the lobbies that I go into, nobody's ever freaking talking, and that's not including because I'm banned or anything. Input device, recent maps, modes, playlist diversity. That's bullshit, because how many times have you played a freaking game? You play a certain map, you back out, you start another lobby, and it throws you back in the same fucking map. There's no fucking way. They want to talk about, like, having the best matchmaking experience. How about stop putting you in games that already fucking started? Why don't they fucking mention that? You guys ever try to play solo? You join a game, and then it throws you into a fucking game, waste your time, and then the game's already, like, halfway done. Your team is down by, like, 50 kills or something, and there's a fucking VTOL and, like, chopper gunner in the air, and then your team's going 5-20 for everybody, except you can't even see the deaths because this game is made for pussies, and they don't want to show deaths because then it's going to discourage people because everyone's such a pussy nowadays. But anyway, yeah, that was all a bunch of bullshit. So that whole graph was just completely out of line, and just me seeing that and then reading all of that just made me pissed off even more. One of the things that I do want to mention on here was they did answer a few community questions in regard to skill-based matchmaking. Now, before I go into the questions and dissect and talk about that a little bit more, I do want to talk about something that just, simmer on this and tell me if this makes sense. A lot of these questions they asked when they had that, like, Reddit open panel or whatever, and they asked these questions and they never freaking answered them. They, like, ignored all these questions when they, like, came into when everyone was asking for them, and for some reason they made it look even more shady by not answering them, and then all of a sudden now they're trying to answer them, and it just, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right and doesn't feel right with me. So I'm gonna go over some of these questions because these are some of the things that people have been asking, Activision and Call of Duty all the time. So let me get started. So the first question that the community asked was, does Call of Duty consider player engagement, the time played, as a factor in matchmaking? So they answered, we do not consider how often or how much you play when determining matchmaking. Now, for that one, I don't know. I never really, taken that into consideration. But I do feel like a brand new account is going to get, which with no fucking playtime, is going to get better, easier lobbies than an account that's already max prestige. That, honestly, already contradicts everything that they said in this question. So the second thing, does the Call of Duty matchmaking process impact any in-game elements such as hit registration, player visibility, aim assist, damage, skill-based damage, everything, etc.? What they answered was no, our matchmaking process does not impact gameplay elements. Well, that is bullshit because, again, it's been proven through exclusive Aces videos that the better that you play, the worse lobbies and the higher ping that you get afterwards, which is an element of hit registration and stuff like that. Player visibility, if someone can see you half a second faster than you can see them. So that already, it's contradicting itself, and it doesn't make sense. Like, there is some sort of skill-based matchmaking, skill-based damage registration, something going on there, because that doesn't make any sense. So the third thing, does spending money on Call of Duty content such as bundles, Battle Pass, or Black Cell change how many players are matched? They answered, money spent does not in any way, shape, or form a factor into matchmaking. What they forgot was that there has been patents that have been leaked that show that players that buy skins and bundles will get placed into easier lobbies. So, newbier players will see that and be like, oh wow, that guy with that skin is really good. Maybe I should buy that fucking skin. So, according to them, they don't implement that patent into their fucking game. But I just frankly don't believe them, honestly. They are a bunch of liars anyway. Does Call of Duty use bots in multiplayer matchmaking? They answered, Call of Duty multiplayer does not use bots as part of the general matchmaking process. If this changes in the future, we will inform the community. Recently, there was a lot of talk about bots being in the lobby. I didn't dwell too much into that. It doesn't really matter, but I don't know. There might be at this point. Do partners or content creators get special consideration in general matchmaking? So essentially saying, do high-level content creators get whitelisted so they get easier lobbies, and all of that stuff? And then they said, no, we do not change the matchmaking process based on who owns the account. In specific cases, such as for events like Call of Duty Next, we may be required to customize how lobbies are formed. However, these events take place in private matches and don't impact general matchmaking. I don't know, man. So either Activision isn't giving the easier lobbies to to all these fucking face swag and all of that, or face swag is using a fucking Cronus or finding a way to circumvent and getting all the easier lobbies. I don't know. Something's definitely going on there. Have you ever considered an opt-in, opt-out system for the matchmaking algorithm? That honestly is a really good question. So essentially saying if you can opt in or opt out to have skill-based matchmaking. What they answered, and this is the dumbest answer I've ever seen in my life. They said, our data suggests that splitting the player base with an opt-in, opt-out matchmaking system will have negative consequences on the overall player pool. That means potentially, so not actually, potentially, longer wait times based on the type of matchmaking selected, plus add into that playlist, map, and mode history, platform, and more. And matches with poor connections. That makes no fucking sense. What the hell? How many people play Call of Duty? Because according to them, every year Call of Duty is like the biggest best-selling game with so many thousand players. And you're telling me that it's going to have negative consequences on the player pool? So what? I don't mind if I have to wait longer to play in better lobbies without skill-based matchmaking or anything. I wouldn't mind waiting 5 minutes per lobby for every time if it means I don't have to deal with skill-based matchmaking bullshit. And then they said, and matches with poor connection. I thought you guys prioritized connection as the number one thing and ping was king. If you guys prioritize based on connection, then there wouldn't be an issue with poor connections. That makes no fucking sense. These dickheads contradict themselves every single time. So that was like the dumbest thing I've ever fucking read in my life. Someone also asked, have you ever tested removing skill as a consideration for matchmaking? We have run tests over the years to determine if removing skill as a consideration from matchmaking makes sense. We will continue to launch these tests periodically. To date, the data remains consistent with what we detailed above. Players tend to quit matches or stop playing if they're getting blown out. Well, what the fuck? What about me? I think I'm a really good player. I've been playing for a long ass time, and I'm getting fucking blown out all the fucking time. But I don't quit because I'm not a fucking pussy. They also said we purposely don't disclose when these tests occur because it may impact feedback or the data we see during those tests. Fucking idiots. Shit, I'm like losing my voice because I'm like getting so pissed. And then the last thing, have you considered removing skill from matchmaking in specific general multiplayer game modes? And they said, we have considered this in the past, and we will continue to examine if this idea makes sense as part of an experimental playlist or in specific modes. We have nothing to announce on that front today. Thank you for your feedback and for being part of our community. We'll see you in the lobby. What a fucking bunch of dickheads they really are. But yeah, according to pretty much everything else, I'm just gonna let you guys know that I don't believe all this shit that they're saying. There might be some truth to it, not gonna lie, but a lot of the things that they say just doesn't make sense. It's really ridiculous. And I want to know what you guys think. I know this is usually like a longer video. I usually don't do videos this long, but this one was a really big one that I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys actually believe them? Do you guys think they're lying? Do you guys think they're like 50-50 on this? Let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Support my channel. Help me grow. Help me make money or what? Who said that? I'm just kidding. Okay, let's get this video finished. Thank you for watching, especially if you've been watching up until now. It really helps my channel a lot. So take care. Bye.